So let's do. Here's my final story for today. For Dylan Radigan, our financial expert, award-winning New York Times best-selling author, award-winning Bloomberg journalist. This is from Jennifer Jacobs. She tweeted out, breaking, Trump plans to order meat processing plants to stay open, declaring them critical infrastructure under Defense Production Act. This order is meant to stave off shortages of beef, chicken, and eggs, pork. Plant closures could have shut down as much as 80% of capacity, sources say. And then she also tweeted out, Trump had signaled in the Oval Minutes he'd sign an executive order today aimed at Tyson Foods liability. The order, though, will not be limited to Tyson's, I'm told. So, one more. She says the White House is working with the Labor Department on safety guidance for meat processing plant workers. Administrations may recommend workers most at risk for coronavirus, such as those with underlying conditions, stay home. Administration is trying to make sure workers have face shields, masks, and access to tests. This is months after this has started. They're still trying to make sure so they got $5 trillion out the door to the richest motherfuckers, but they still haven't gotten masks and safety stuff to the essential workers.
They wouldn't even use the Defense Production Act to mandate the production of PPE, but they're talking about using it to force people to go kill chickens in factory farms.
Yes. So let me just read this to you. This guy says, putting aside how fucked up this is for workers, how is this supposed to work when the entire workforce of a factory is infected with COVID-19? Get off that ventilator and slice up some more bacon. So that's what's happening, is that they're getting sick inside of these factories, and that's what's happening. And then someone else said,
by the way, those factory farms, I don't think they're any better than the wet markets in China.
Right.
We talk about the wet markets in China, which are horrendous and clearly a breeding ground for global horrors. But so too are the U.S. factory farms. I mean, I've been pushing for decentralized, distributed resources ever since I left NBC nearly 10 years ago. And there is no greater example of the liability of centralized production than obviously the supply chain in China, or the horrors of American factory farming, which is disgusting to begin with.
So one more tweet I'll read to you. It says, the meat processing plants were closed because a huge amount of workers fell ill to COVID. So Trump wants to change the rules so that the plants can infect as many workers as they want without penalty. This is not capitalism. This is murder. So what they're also doing is they're getting rid of the liability for the company. So if you go back to work and you get COVID, I know what they're doing in Illinois. If you go to work and you get COVID, that's a workman's comp claim. And that's it. That's a workman's comp claim. Send it there and it's over. So that means no lawsuits. And that's what Trump is doing here. They're
got to protect the mass meat supply.
Right. So they're
instead of using this as an opportunity to completely restructure, honestly, at the very least, if you're going to annihilate the global economy and with all of its flaws, use annihilation as an opportunity to do a restructuring that moves towards the decentralization that's necessary for the world to survive. Don't indemnify the factory farm to slaughter people along with chickens, so that to make sure everybody come on.
So my question is, what happens when they open up the chicken factory and nobody shows up to work? I wonder if that will happen.
That's my question. I second your question, sir.
Because there was one factory in Nebraska had 47 people sick with COVID in that one factory.
Listen, you're talking to a man who was bit by the Lone Star tick. And as a result, meat is no longer a subject of interest for me. Welcome to my world. As a political, I would say that the one thing about that whole meat DPA story, everything you just said, is it's completely aligned with everything else. It's very much in alignment with the American policy vector.
Yeah, exploit the people with no power and then funnel that money upward while leaving everybody in a slave-like state.
That's right.
That's America, baby.
But that's every country in the world. It's just the illusion that America wasn't that is the issue.
Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?